Let's piss some people off.
What if the reason some people disappear from your life isn't because you changed in a bad way, but because you finally became fully yourself? What if you didn't lose them? You just stopped carrying them. Because sometimes the silence that follows your growth isn't rejection, it's truly a revelation. Welcome to I Am Spice, a podcast. If conversations like this resonate with you, if you value depth, honesty, and real growth, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell button so you're notified when this episodes drop like this, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. That's how this podcast grows. That's how these conversations reach more people. And I genuinely appreciate every single one of you who supports it. Okay. So, I need to talk about something that I didn't even realize was happening until it was already done. Have you ever looked up and realized, wait, this person hasn't really been in my life for months now? And there was no fight, no falling out, no argument, nothing explosive, just nothing. And at first, you don't even notice it because you're living your life. You're busy, you're growing, you're handling your own things. But then one day, you sit down and you think about it and you're like, oh, it was always me. It was always me, the one reaching out. I was the one always saying, hey, how are you really? I was always the one making sure the connection stayed alive. And then the moment I stopped, it all died. That realization doesn't feel empowering at all. It feels sad. It feels like, wow, I thought this was mutual. I thought this was real. And I'm not saying this to talk about one person. I'm saying this because I think a lot of us don't clock when this happening. We're so used to being the strong one, the consistent one, the emotionally aware one, that we don't realize we're also the one doing all the maintenance in the relationship. There was someone in my life that I genuinely cared about. We met a couple years ago. She was figuring herself out, confidence, identity, just learning how to be fully herself. And I poured into her, not out of savior way, not in a I know better way, just as a friend way. I checked in, I encouraged her, I wanted her to win, and because that's who I am. And in the beginning, it felt mutual. We talked, we supported each other, it felt balanced. But slowly, I started noticing something. I was always the one initiating conversation every week, every check-in, every conversation. So one day, I just stopped. Not to test her, not to be pity, I just stopped reaching out. And what I learned is that the silence stretched. Weeks went by, then a month. When we finally talked again, she said she had been going through things and just wanted to be alone. I didn't feel like talking to anyone, and I understood that for sure. I even told her, I get it. I just don't want you to feel like you have to go through things alone. And that was it. After that, it was surface levels, just like short replies. I'm okay. I'm happy. No effort to reconnect. And that's when something clicked inside of me. It wasn't that she hated me. It wasn't that she was malicious. It wasn't even dramatic. It was just simply done. And the reason I'm sharing this is not to make this episode about this person. It's to talk about what happens when you grow. Because this is what I've been sitting with all this time. When you grow, you change the dynamic. And sometimes you don't even realize you've changed it. Friendships are built on roles. Even if nobody says it out loud, there's always a dynamic. Who's the one who gives advice? Who needs advice? Who's struggling? Who's stable? Who's the confident one? Who's still figuring it out? And when you evolve, you shift your role. If you used to be the one doubting yourself and now you trust yourself, that changes things. If you used to vent constantly and now you handle your emotions differently, that changes things. And if you used to need validation and now you're the secure one, that also changes things. And sometimes the other person doesn't know how to sit next to this new version of you. Not because they're evil, not because they're jealous in some cartoon villain way, but because growth creates contrast, and contrast makes people aware of themselves. And not everybody wants to be aware. Sometimes your growth feels like pressure to someone who isn't ready to grow yet. Your resilience feels like exposure to a lot of people. Your consistency feels like judgment, even if you've never judged them. You can trigger someone just by existing completely different. And that's the part nobody talked about. Now, let me add something personal to this. I've been unapologetically myself since I was 25 years old. What you see now, this confidence, this clarity, this directness, this is not new. This is refined. This is matured, but this is who I've been all along. I don't shrink for people. I don't waver. I don't shapeshift to fit into rooms. And because of that, people are always drawn to me. They always have been, and I'm unique. I'm intense. I'm deep. I'm intentional. I don't do surface level things. I don't do fake. But here's what I've also noticed. Being yourself consistently makes some people feel uncomfortable. Not because you did anything wrong, but because when someone stands fully in who they are, it silently asks the questions like, are you the same? And that question can feel like pressure to other people. Some people think they're going to fit into your life because they're attracted to your authenticity. They admire it. They're inspired by it. They love how bold you are. But admiring someone's authenticity is different from being ready to live in your own. And sometimes what ends up happening is this. They love being around your light until your light requires them to look at themselves. And if they're not ready to grow, they don't lean in, they pull back. Not because you rejected them, but because your evolution exposes the gap between where you are and where they are. So now let me be very clear. As a friend, I never expect someone to change for me. If I decide to include you in my life, in my circle, if I open my world to you, it's because I love you for who you are right now. I don't need you polished. I don't need you healed. I don't need you elevated. Your growth is your responsibility. Your change is your choice. I'm here to be your friend. I don't recruit projects. I choose connections. And the type of connection I crave, they're conversational, they're deep, they're reflective. I want to sit down and talk about identity, about patterns, about childhood, about wounds, about why are we the way we are. I don't thrive in surface level dynamics. I don't do small talk friendships. So I don't put myself in those situations. And maybe that's part of it too. Maybe sometimes people think that they fit into your life because they like the idea of you. But the reality of being in your life requires depth, honesty, and evolution, and not everybody wants that. We love to say, oh, we just grew apart. But sometimes what really happened is one person grew and the other person retreated. And it's not always conscious, it's subtle. It's energetic. It's a slow realization that you're not aligned anymore. The hardest part for me wasn't losing this connection. It was realizing I was the glue to it. That's what really sucked. That if I didn't hold it together, it didn't hold itself. And that makes you question everything. Was it ever mutual? Did they value me the way I valued them? Was I overestimating the closeness? That's a deep kind of grief because there's no closure conversation. There's no dramatic ending, just clarity. And clarity can feel lonely. But here's what I've learned. It is not my responsibility to shrink to maintain access. It is not my responsibility to carry the emotional labor for every connection. I can be loving, I can be humble, I can be supportive, but I will not overextend to keep something alive that isn't breathing on its own. And I think a lot of us, especially emotionally aware people, are used to being the glue. We're used to checking in, we're used to holding space, we're used to maintaining the relationship, but when you stop and nothing comes back, that's information. And instead of blaming or getting dramatic or villainizing people, sometimes you just have to accept it for what it is. Not everyone is meant for every version of you. And sometimes you don't lose people because you did something wrong. You lose them because you stop carrying them. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had that moment where you stopped reaching out and the silence answered exactly what you needed to know? And what did that teach you about the connection that you thought you had? Because I know I'm not the only one who has felt that shift. And maybe this isn't about one friend, maybe this is about understanding that growth doesn't just elevate you, it filters your life, and filtering hurts before it heals. If this episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Please share it. Send it to someone who's been feeling that quiet shift in their life. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell button and leave a like so the platform knows this conversation matters. This is how we grow something real. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.